Yeah. So his father shows elements of passivity, and in certain areas of your husband's life, he shows elements of being passive as
Mm.
well, and not completely passive, but passive in the sense of choosing to not be active
Mm.
in important areas, in
Mhm.
important decisions, because we all understand consequences. Whether we know it or not, we understand consequences. It's um, it's the it's the early warning system in the human brain, and the reason why we very often, all of us in our lives, as far as I can see, we very often do things for other people that we would never do for ourselves.
Mhm.
Um, and we'll help other people for something that we don't fix within ourselves. What's the old saying? And there's something in Slovak that the shoemaker's children have bare feet, right?
Mhm.
And the reason for that is that there's much less responsibility in helping others than there is in helping ourselves, because it's a short-term activity with a clear end, which is that it's easy come, easy go. There's less responsibility. Um, Whereas if you do something at home, there's an expectation that this needs to be repeated. And so what happens is that you understand subconsciously that if you do more, that will lead to more,
Mm.
right? And so if you fix one light, you can fix two. If you fix two lights, then you can fix three. If you fix three lights, then you can fix four. Now, this is it, this is understanding productivity, right? If you know, it's like a business. If you can sell to one person, you can sell to
Mm.
two. If you can sell to two, you can sell to three.
Mhm.
And
Yes.
and
Budget
being
is even higher. Yes. Yes. Forecast.
yeah, exactly, exactly. And so you can see how this mirrors the the home environment where he knows, either consciously or subconsciously, I don't know, but he knows that if he does more, then more will be expected. And and so there's very little for him, there's very little motivation to do anything, because this expectation will always be there. And his value system is different from yours, the same way that everybody's value system is different from everybody else's. There's no, there's, I don't think there's any two people on the planet with exactly the same values system who,
Mm.
uh, who perfectly like integrate together. And even if there is, it's probably not positive, because if you've got somebody who likes surfing a lot and their partner likes surfing a lot, then they'll just spend all the time surfing and completely ignore the rest of the world, which might or might not
Mhm.
be a good thing. I don't know.
Mhm.
So um, also, um, mom and dad are like king and queen. This is in our small psychological world. Yeah, mom and dad are king and queen. And if you go back in ancient time, it was god and goddess. Yeah,
Mhm.
and so the the mother is the goddess in this psychological picture. And so, what did people do in history? They always prayed and worshipped the goddess, and the goddess always looked down on everything and everyone else. Um, and this creates a relationship struggle or relationship problem, because the goddess power comes between you and your husband, because your husband will focus more on pleasing the goddess than he will on pleasing you. And this is unfortunately natural because she came first, right? She was in his life first. And this is what we have to understand when choosing partners, is that if there is this strong relationship between a man and his mother, that that the woman will always take a back seat
Mm-hmm.
in terms of the development of the relationship, because the man will always seek to go to his mother first, because that's what he did when he was 1 year old, 2 year old,
Mm-hmm.
3 year old, 4 year old, 5 year old. And
Mm-hmm.
he will always seek that validation and appreciation from her first.
Mm-hmm.
And this is very frustrating for the wife in the relationship, because she's very often doing all the hard work and not getting the first validation. The validation comes much later, and
Mm-hmm.
uh, yeah, any habit not based on scientific validation is to be questioned. Um, but that's irrelevant. Well, it's easier for her to correct your husband than it is for you to correct your husband.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's why it's okay, right?
Ah, okay. Mm-hmm.
Because otherwise you'd have to correct it. So you're okay with her doing that, so you don't have to do that. Prob prob Probably to a certain extent. Yeah, people. Okay, this is in my head, and I don't know if this is relevant, but I'll tell you this anyway, and maybe it'll make sense. I don't know. Um, when I was a kid, we played football in the park. I say it was at school. At lunchtime, we played football because there was nothing else to do. We get a ball and we just play football, and
Mm-hmm.
that was it. And some of us were good and some of us were bad, but it was a fun game between friends at lunchtime. Now there was one player who never passed the ball. Right, one player who never passed the ball. He was always greedy, kept the ball to himself, never passed the ball to anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what happened? He became really good.
Mm-hmm.
What you would think in a logical, practical, philosophical world is that nobody would speak to this person and nobody would like this person because this person never contributed to the team or anything like that. So that didn't happen, right? What happened was this person became really good because they always had the ball. And so they learned what to do with the ball because they always had the ball. They learned how to get past people. They learned how to tackle properly. They always had the ball. And they scored a lot of goals because they always had the ball. Because if you want to score, you have to have the ball. It's a
Mm-hmm.
fundamental principle. And what happens is that advice from people, specifically who are older in maybe more authoritative positions, can seem to be very good. But what I think tends to happen is the same as with the football, is that over a period of time, they have so much practice because they force themselves into that position and other people let them do that, that they're going to have a lot of good advice, even though maybe it's not so philosophical and practical. Because you respect this woman, but she married an alcoholic,
Mm-hmm.
which is obviously a disastrous life decision. Yeah, yeah, there is no sense in things that don't work, right? Unless someone's specifically doing something so that it doesn't work. It doesn't
Mm-hmm.
make any sense. Also, negative instructions don't work. Don't
Mm-hmm.
do this. Doesn't work